This is the video review of Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Voyager Class Optimus Prime, and I like this figure a lot more than I thought I would. First, we'll take a look at his vehicle mode, and it's kind of a weird vehicle mode. I like it more than I thought I would. It's still not great, but it's not bad. I was concerned about it because it's basically a weaponized vehicle mode, and I never liked those from Dark of the Moon. Most of them didn't do anything for me. A couple of them were okay, but mostly they just seemed like vehicles with a bunch of crap stuck on them. This figure is kind of the same, except because the cab of the truck already looks kind of mean, sort of like a monster truck. I think it works a little bit better because it's not a normal car with crap on it, it's a beastly car with crap on it, so the crap doesn't seem as out of place. I call it crap, it's stuff. I'll call it stuff. It just doesn't seem as out of place. So this vehicle mode works for me a lot better than any of the Dark of the Moon weaponized vehicles, and actually all the Beast Hunters vehicles work a lot better than the Dark of the Moon mechanized vehicles like Wheeljack and Bumblebee. I think their vehicle modes look pretty okay. They're still a bit too much like the Dark of the Moon stuff for me to really like them, but they're okay. This, however, is a bit different. It embraces the Mad Max vibe. It looks like something out of Mad Max, and I can appreciate that a bit more than just stuff piled onto a vehicle. So, well, I've talked about that aspect of it long enough. The vehicle itself it's okay. It's boxy, blocky, holds together pretty well. It rolls pretty well. Although I do have an issue with one of the wheels, this one right here. Neither of these, this front wheel spins okay, this one doesn't, and the reason why is because this gray piece here, either there's a bit of flash or it's just mismolded or something, but it prevents this wheel from turning correctly. It sort of gets in the way, and if it's, you hear that snap, if it's not snapped all the way into the wheel well here, then this gray piece here will just stop this from rolling at all. So you have to make sure that it's all the way on there in order for it to allow it to roll. And that's the only problem I have at the end. What's strange is that even though it has this problem where this wheel doesn't spin very well, all the other wheels spin pretty well enough for it to roll. This wheel doesn't really impede the rolling that much, which is weird. It causes it to have a little bit of a turn, but it does roll well. And let's see, you can remove the weapons, which doing this does change the look of the vehicle. I honestly think it looks better with all the weapons attached, because otherwise it starts to look a little bit barren, like it's a Mad Max style truck, but doesn't have enough Mad Max stuff on it. It just starts to look more like a garbage truck. It loses some of its intimidation. So I like the stuff on it. Even the sword over the top here I think looks nice. Although the sword, I just like the way this thing looks. I love the green they use. It's such a nice, bright green. It's not a sickly green or anything. It's a very vibrant green. It's really cool looking. And they use the same green for the windows, which I think looks pretty nice. And, well, anyway, this is the vehicle mode. You can give it wings by popping these out. And because of how big and blocky the vehicle mode is, I don't really think this works, but you can do it. One thing I noticed is that the windows here are painted yellow, which is very weird considering these are green. I can understand Hasbro painting them green or a very dark color, but yellow just seems weird. But surprisingly, I don't have a problem with this, and I think most of it's because this vehicle mode just looks so alien compared to a normal Earth car, so it just looks like it's a detail, like a racing stripe or something. And one thing that I've heard a lot of people complain about is that this frame that turns into his wings, I've heard a lot of people complaining about it being a soft plastic, and it is a different kind of plastic. It's very flexible, but I don't really think it's soft exactly. People have been complaining about it not pegging in. Well, I haven't had an issue with it. You just need to make sure you press it all the way in, and then it fits in pretty nicely. I mean, a flexible plastic, but it's not like a rubbery plastic. It's not like a Prime Voyager Dreadwing's head. It's not like that. It's not like the nose cone of a jet figure. It's a pretty tough plastic. I don't mind it. Now, anyway, to transform this figure, you will pop the wings out to the side like this. And then you'll pop this up. And then you will pop these down like this. And then bring these around to the front. And they will peg together. And then you will have these all the way out like this. And then you will bring the legs down like this. You'll separate them from the arms. Pop this out like this. And then you'll take the torso. You'll bring it up like this. And rotate it around 180. And then it'll sort of catch on something in there. Not very strongly, but enough to let you know that it's time to stop turning. Then you'll bring the arms around. And these little gray bits will plug onto the rear view windows. Or the rear view mirrors. Like this, and like this. Then we will pop up the head. It'll snap into place. And then there's a little tab back there. And this part of the hinge here will just rest over it, like that. And then what we'll do is we'll take this framework stuff here, bring it back, and bring it down. There are these little tabs here that'll go into little slots here. I sort of wish this clipped in, but instead it just sort of rests there. In a lot of the early videos we saw of this like Piogs video review, the backpack thing sort of fell apart a couple times on those videos. It's not a problem for mine, but that's because these joints here are tight. It very rarely comes undone. So I think most of the backpack falling apart is just a quality control issue. So all you need to do is put some super glue or future floors in the joints here, and yeah, the joint there. Ooh, well, maybe it's something that gets loose over time, because normally that stays in pretty well. Anyway, bring the wings around, pop these up. And here you have, oh, I forgot to flip out his heel spurs. Here you have Prime Beast Hunter Voyager class Optimus Prime in robot mode, and this guy is really cool looking. He is big and bulky, and he just looks not quite mean, but intimidating. I really like his look. I really like his wings. I think they work well on him, and it's a very nice looking figure. Look at it. Look at it. Now, a lot of the people who have reviewed it so far have complained about feeling kind of light and hollow, and that's because it weighs as much as any other Voyager class figure, but because he looks more massive, he is deceptively light, and it's not that big of a deal, but it's more disconcerting than I would like. So I will have a video for how to fix some of the how to fix that. I'll have a fix-it video after this goes up. So if you want to see how to fix some problems with this figure, I will do that. Stay tuned. But anyway, continuing on with the figure. For articulation, the arms go forward and back. This will bump into the framework back here. The arms go in and out. Rotate above the elbow. And they'll go 90 degrees at the elbow, and the fist can turn. The head will rotate around, not 360 degrees. There's a little bit on his collar right there that prevents that. And he doesn't have a waist swivel, which is kind of weird, because nothing stops it from having it. Just doesn't, it's not there. And then you have the legs go forward, back, in, out, rotate above the knee, and then bend 90 degrees at the knee. And then the heel can go down, and the toe can go down. So you can get him pretty solid in quite a few poses. So he is a very nice figure. I really like him, but mine does have a couple quality control issues. For one, if you look at the legs, now this leg is a bit special here. I'll show you in the fix-it video, but it's a bit heavier than the other. You'll see why. But as you can see, even the leg that's lighter, well, Even the leg that's lighter has the same problem. It's not as bad, but it does have the problem. So you will, if yours is anything like mine, you will need to tighten the legs. And that's about it for the figure itself. Now let's look at the weapons. First we have the sword, and I already talked about this a little bit. I love the way this looks. And this will fit into his fist, and it's just super cool looking. I really like that. I wish his fist could bend out like this so we could have some like jabbing poses. So I might give the sword to another figure, that can bend the fist down. But it does work really well with this figure. It's nice, big, intimidating, and super cool. And then he has these little rocket launcher type things. They split out like this, or like look like crossbows, and they do fire pretty far. I think they look a little bit too small in his hands, so I don't typically put them in his hands. You can put them on his wings here, sort of like jets, but they just sort of hang off the wings and make them look a little bit too big. So what I typically do with these is I plug them onto those, so he gets a little rocket. He has a jetpack for his wing pack. And you heard how powerful that was. Now granted, it was fired straight down, but they are pretty powerful missile launchers. And plugging them on here is pretty hard. They're pretty tight. And once you get them on there, you get a fully fledged jetpack. And in fact, these even sort of look like fire, so they fit the bill as little jet things pretty well. So that's typically how I display the figure. And yeah, that's about it. He's a bit too light, but I have a way to fix that. Otherwise, except for quality control issues, I don't really have a problem with him. I think he's a pretty cool figure, and I do highly recommend him. Anyway, this has been a Transformers video review. I review Power Rangers, Transformers, just lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.